What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Jenks and Hammer podcast. We're recording this Friday night, August 11th. You guys are going to hear this Monday morning because we're a little busy this weekend. Jenks is taking his lady to Disneyland, so
Well, Disney World. But
Disney World.
yeah,
Same thing, tomato. But we're recording this late Friday night. Preseason has begun. The Packers play tonight, and yeah, Jordan Love looks pretty good. Matt LaFleur was pretty happy with his performance. He even said that Jordan Love's probably going to get more preseason action this summer, so that's exciting. Jordan went 7 for 10 with 46 yards and a touchdown. I thought he looked really good. He was really calm in the pocket. He was going through his reads. Um, the first two plays of the game were you know, two little short completions, to get him in a rhythm. So good call playing by Matt. And the first drive on third down, he missed Luke Musgrave, um, rookie tight end, second round draft pick, over the middle. He was wide open. Jordan Love kind of put like a little too much zip on it, went over his head a little bit. Is what it is. Bounces back the next drive. Defense gets a good stop. Jordan Love gets the ball, I think, at the Bengals 46, something like that. So he's in, Cincinnati territory. Has a nice drive down the field and connects with Romeo Dubs for a 9-yard touchdown pass. So he looked good. It's exciting. I know it wasn't against the Bengals stars or whatever, but
yeah,
you
they
could
moved
definitely
her.
see the growth in Jordan Love's game through the years. He's definitely way more calm, and this is the number one takeaway through camp. His decision making and his just poise has just been way better. You can go back 2 years, 2 years ago when he was playing the Kansas City Chiefs in his first start, and it looked like he was running around. He didn't know the plays. Like he was just a million things was going on in his head. So he looks way better. And yeah, and
Yeah,
preseason's gonna. This is the first week. Couple games going on right now. This weekend, and yeah, today we got a good episode for you guys though. We're going to be. I'm gonna be talking about my top five sleepers in fantasy. Jenks is gonna give me his top five sleepers in fantasy. But
good,
first,
good
I
ones.
think Jenks wants to talk about CJ Stroud.
Yeah, yeah, and really quick, John. Before we get into that, like you mentioned, a player that I think is an interesting guy fantasy wise, and you might be mentioning him later on. I don't know. You haven't told me your list, but a guy like Luke Musgrave for the Packers. What
He's
do you
on
think
my
about
list,
him?
damn it.
Okay, yeah, okay. Then we'll get into it in a second. But I like that you pointed him
Spoiler.
out. I think that's a great mention. A lot of guys, he's kind of going under the radar because was he the first or second? He was the first tight end the Packers picked in the draft, right? Or was he the
Yep.
second?
First.
Yeah, so I think that's a guy that they're going to really try to target and turn into like
Yep.
a possible Travis Kelsey type. But anyways, CJ Stroud, interesting performance yesterday. Was in for a pretty short amount of time, which is pretty standard for most starters. Like I know some coaches are having that philosophy, like, oh, we're going to put him in for a long amount of time. Like Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, who are playing the Saints this weekend, Andy Reid loves to play his starters, and that's something that Patrick Mahomes might play the full first quarter. So I think it's definitely interesting. But CJ Stroud comes in, throws 4 passes, goes 2 completions, 13 yards, and a pick. And Texans fans, that's something that's a little bit worrisome. Like it really is. Like I mean, it is just the first round of playoff or of preseason. You're not really too worried about it. It's not like, oh, he's gonna get more experience. But it also is like the throw that he made was kind of rough. It was a little bit of a quick read. He just kind of threw it, and it was just a reckless throw. It seemed like, and that's something that just isn't something you really want to see right off the bat. But Davis Mills came in, played pretty well. Anyways, CJ Stroud hopefully improves a little bit, but this is just really kind of a season where he's just going to grow. I think that's all it really is.
Yeah. And I think too, as like gonna go into it. It was a mess. He doesn't have a lot of help. That Houston coaching staff and organization needs to know that he doesn't have a lot around him. You know what I mean? You got to give him a break. This is him to learn and grow a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a young team all
And like
around.
it could be a rough year because it's a young team, but it's not a talented team. On top of that, like the Packers, a young team, but they're a talented team. You've seen stuff in Christian Watson and Romeo Dubs. the Texans, I don't even know who's on that team. You know what I mean? I don't know. They
They
signed
got a
Robert Woods,
few
who's like
solid
30,
pieces.
34. I don't know. But I'm just saying, like,
They got
you need to understand as a Texans fan, when as an NFL fan, and a Texan fan, and that organization needs to understand that this is gonna be a slow process. You know what I mean? Taking a QB
yeah,
early,
a
your
year or
team
two.
stinks, and there's not a lot of help for him. You know what I mean?
But I think
Like,
although it's not best,
would it be the worst idea if they sat him and just played Davis Mills? That's what
I
I
mean, we'll
would
see.
do.
I think it'll be interesting to see like if that trend continues into the first few games of the season. I think that definitely happens if
Yeah.
CJ Stroud's stinging it up, and it could just harm him. Just playing him if he keeps stinging it up, like that just harms his performance more than anything. But one thing I will say is, how you said it's an untalented team. I like to I'll disagree a little bit with that. I think they got a few young players that have some talent. Like Mechie out of Alabama was injured last year, kind of like his rookie year coming in. Is it like a Chet Holmgren type rookie year for Mechie. Then we got Tank Dell, who looked pretty good in preseason yesterday, which could be like a little bit of overhype. Like he wasn't really playing against any studs, so take it with a grain of salt. But he did look all right. Then you also have Dameon Pierce down there, and the defense also got a few good players, and they also got Will Anderson in the draft. So it's a young team, but there's some solid draft stock, and I just think there's a little bit of talent. It's not completely
A
talentless, like
little
you
bit.
said.
A little
Yeah, but
bit.
it's still there. It's a little bit. Anyways, let's get
Right.
right into our sleepers for the upcoming fantasy season.
Welcome to the Jenks and the Hammer podcast, bringing you the latest NFL news and insights from the perspectives of two die-hard fans. So sit back, relax, and get ready for some football talk with Jenks and the Hammer.
Here we go!
All right, so my first sleeper, Jenks already spoiled it, but I got Luke Musgrave, tight end for the Packers, rookie second-round draft pick from Oregon State. This dude can fly at tight end. All right, he ran a 4.6, which is okay, right? But like, he plays faster than that. He plays like he runs like a 4.4. Dude's fast, not a blocker. So when he's out there, he's gonna be getting the ball. He's been having a big camp in Green Bay. Jordan Love's been looking his way a lot in the red zone, over the middle. You saw tonight preseason, Jordan Love's first 2 drives. He looked at Musgrave 3-4 times, and he caught 2 balls, something like that. So I mean, like, and Green Bay likes him a lot. Green Bay hasn't had a tight end like this since Jermichael Finley. Like, we've had Martellus Bennett, sucked. Jimmy Graham, too old.
Nah, he was a tool. They just didn't know how to use him.
No,
That's
he's
what it
too
was.
old.
He's about to come back this year.
We've had
He's
Mercedes
play
Lewis
that much.
forever. He's been a blocking tight end, little old too. But like, we haven't had a tight end like this, and especially for a young QB to have such a fast, big target over the middle is just, that's your go-to guy almost. You know what I mean? So Luke Musgrave is someone who's going undrafted in a lot of fantasy leagues. So if you know what I mean, if you want to wait and draft him with your last pick or whatever, it's going to be a steal, because I don't want, like, you shouldn't have this guy waiting on waiver wires until like week 2, because he's going to get snatched up after week 1. So I would draft him. And like I said, he's getting undrafted in a lot of leagues. It's a must. It's a must because he's got tight end top 10 upside. So
Yeah, and I mean, it's an interesting guy. Like, he has the kind of, I guess I want to say versatility. I like as like a receiving weapon, as like a Travis Kelce kind of guy, or like a Dalton Kincaid coming into Buffalo. But I think it's interesting to see how they use him. But I think, like you said, top 10 tight end potential. But then, I mean, there is that risk there, like, oh, he might not end up being that. That's why, like you said, it's a great late round pick, or someone that you pick up really quick off the waiver wire as an undrafted free agent.
yep.
My first guy, I think this guy, a lot of people are sleeping on him purely because of his role and on his offense in college. This guy went from Tennessee, Jalin Hyatt. I loved him coming into the draft. I talked about him very highly in our, or I think it was like a receiver draft episode. I talked about him very, very highly. Everyone was kind of like, I remember you didn't love my takes on him being like a top 1-2 receiver in the draft,
No,
and Ned didn't either.
no, Ned didn't. I valued him pretty
Ned
high.
hated it. Yeah,
Ned
no,
didn't
and
like it.
I think he's gonna be really, really good for their offense with a guy. The only guys above him are Darius Slayton, Paris Campbell, and Isaiah Hodgins, who are like they're solid. Like it's not going to be anything insane, but he can easily, if he outperforms like in the first few weeks, that's a guy that you can possibly look to be a nice run after catch kind of guy, deep threat kind of guy. And a lot of people slept on him purely because of his role in college as just a deep threat. That's really all he was for Hendon Hooker in Tennessee. So I'm interested to see how he comes out. He's a rookie, so I don't really have any basis for like prior years in the NFL. So I really just think it's pure speculation at that point. But I think he might have a good season this year. And I think he's a good sleeper pick in later rounds.
Yeah, it's not a bad pick. My next guy is actually a giant too. He's a tight end. I got Darren Waller. This dude's been having a monster camp, and you know, like I knew he was tight end, but he's the best receiver on this team.
Yeah, and
right?
I know
he is, and
yeah.
I think when you look at Daniel Jones' play style and the type of QB he is, like Darren Waller is going to be his best friend.
Yeah, right now I think he should be realistically. He should be a top 5 tight end picked off the board in fantasy. Like he will be. A lot of people aren't drafting him that high, but if he's there, top, I don't know. I don't even know. I would take him within the first 7 rounds somewhere.
Yeah,
somewhere within there.
I think. Yeah, but he's like falling in a lot of drafts, and he's not going to take an eye. And I'm telling you, this Darren Waller has like top 5 tight end potential.
I think he's a better pick than I'd pick him over Mark Andrews right now. Realistically, I would. And Mark Andrews,
I don't know about that.
Purely because Mark Andrews, I feel like 1, they got more receivers in Baltimore. 2, Mark Andrews is just inconsistent. I really don't like Mark Andrews after what happened.
He is.
Hammer and I drafted him last year, and it was kind of a train wreck. But purely because of that, I just want to stay away from Mark Andrews. But I love Darren Waller. I picked him in our mock draft episode last week, so yeah, I love that pick.
Yeah.
Second guy for me, another receiver, George Pickens out of Pittsburgh. I love the connection brewing down there with Pickett and him. It just looks solid, and every single day it seems like in camp recently, every time there's fans there, they get a clip or 2 of him either mossing someone, bullying a corner, or making a contested catch.
He had a big touchdown tonight in preseason against the Bucs.
Yeah, I saw that, and
made a move. So
not necessarily like, again, it's against not necessarily the starters on the Bucs. I don't know who it was against, corner wise, anything like that. But it just shows that like Pickett wants to throw to him, and I think that's what matters.
And he's a playmaker. He's a playmaker.
Yeah,
he can go up and get it. Can do the run after the catch. He does it all. Big body, so athletic, playing with confidence, playing loose. Yeah,
one of the top catches of the year last year, and he had 800 yards last year and 4 touchdowns. Sorry, but that's a guy that he's looking to take that leap this year, and I think he can do it. So if you have him,
if you can get Pickens as your number 2 receiver, you're gonna be in a good spot.
Yeah, and I think the thing is like he will be a number 2, possibly like
2 or flex.
Number 2 or flex, but he's falling like so far into these drafts that it's like you could take him in the later rounds, and it's 100% going to be worth it.
Yeah. Next guy I got is a running back, Zach Charbonnet. All right, this dude,
big Madden guy.
So last night in preseason, right? They play the Vikings, Seattle. This dude's putting his shoulder down, running through people like the power back, like we saw in college, and I love it. And you also look at Seattle, and you're like, hey, that's a pass-heavy team with all those weapons. Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, JSN, right? What does that mean? They're going to play the pass a lot more, right? They're going to play with more DBs, less people in the box. They're going to run the ball more. And guess what? Kenneth Walker, he's a little banged up right now, right? So we don't know the status of that. Is it going to linger throughout the season? So I love Zach Charbonnet. I mean, he could do it all, but he can really put his shoulder down and go get those extra yards. And I think he's an awesome running back to have on your bench, and I think the upside is he could become, mid-season or towards the end of the year. I think he could be a nice flex for you.
Yeah, and the thing is, running backs are always going to be those guys that, like, the more running backs you have that are good, That's how you win
better.
fantasy years.
You need running
'Cause-
backs because if
Yeah,
running backs are so valuable, and plus, even if you overdraft on running backs, you really don't because you know there's someone out there who needs a back, and that just becomes big trade value.
trade value. Yep, 100%. And I remember I think we were pretty short in running backs in our fantasy league last year,
Yeah, we had
where like
damn
running backs
James
were kind of
Conner.
who kind of
Sucked.
like bursted at the end of the year, but like the
Mm,
first half, like it was rough. It was rough sledding. But
sucks. I'm not touching
anyways,
anyone from Arizona this year.
yeah, I respect it. I think James Conner could have a good season this year, but
No,
because he'll be
right.
relying on the run. But I like Conner. Anyways, third sleeper from me is Quentin Johnston out of Los Angeles on the Chargers. You know, this guy out of college,
I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't
another
like it.
guy.
I don't like it.
Here,
Why?
I'll ask you. I'll ask you why in a second. But out of college, I love this guy. We talked about him in the receiver draft class. I love him. You know, I think he has all of the tangibles to be a great receiver in the league. And this year in the training camp so far, he's shown that he's improved his hands since college, which was his issue. Like that's what people were worried about, were his hands. Can he make sideline catches, different types of catches versus just kind of run after catch or deep balls? That's really all he was doing in college. But now he seems to be making more contested catches, more sideline catches, toe drags, everything like that. His hands seem to improve, and he's got the height. And as a red zone kind of guy that's in fantasy, touchdowns are very valuable. And as a red zone threat, I think he might get a few more than people expect this season.
Yeah, so I absolutely hate that pick. And let me tell you why. You say he's got the size, he's the red zone guy. Well, I don't know. They got someone called Mike Williams.
Yeah, but it
All
was
right. And
injured every
when
2
you look
seconds.
at that team, he's probably like what, the fourth option? You got Austin
I don't know.
Eckler, you got Keenan Allen,
Training
you got
camp,
Mike
man.
Williams, then you got him. I'm just saying I don't like picking
Yeah, no, and that's why he's a sleeper.
I don't like picking receivers that like have like two other guys around their level,
Yeah,
like
but
near them. It's
I
just
don't know.
like it's tough because you gotta think about it. You're Justin Herbert. You know what I mean? You got Eckler, you got Keenan Allen. Like Keenan Allen
Yeah,
is a
but
better
Keenan
pick than him.
Allen, yeah, but that's why I'm saying he's a sleeper.
But
I'm not
like
saying like you pick this guy early. But here's also the thing:
I don't like it.
Keenan Allen and Mike Williams always injured. Both of them are always injured. You can't rely on either of them to stay healthy. So a guy like Quentin Johnston, if he can stay healthy, hopefully he can. Who knows? It's the NFL. It's
Yeah.
his first
I don't know.
season
I'm
as a
not touching
rookie.
any Charger wide receivers.
Late rounds, I think it's a good pick.
Now,
But
is
that's
Justin Herbert an amazing pick because he has those weapons? Absolutely. But
yeah,
I'm not
Justin
touching any.
Herbert is a great
I'm
pick.
not touching any of the receivers, and I don't like that just because he's the fourth option. That's just me. That's
No,
just
I
me.
mean I get it, but I just think the injury bug is there, and I think as a late round pick, I think he's a solid pick.
Mm-hmm. All right. So for my third guy, I got Elijah Moore, wide receiver for the Browns. He got traded this offseason, New York Jets to the Browns.
I like it.
He had some conflicted and some tough, bad
Yeah, it was a little bit rough
feelings with the
there.
Jets, yelling at coaches, this and that. Finally gets traded. He gets traded for a second round pick. I was hoping he was going to be involved with the Rodgers deal, but he wasn't. But yeah, Elijah Moore, he's been dominating at Cleveland Browns training camp. He's becoming that true slot gadget guy for Deshaun Watson. You know, of course, they got Amari Cooper on the outside, but, you know, I think, like, I'm a believer in Deshaun Watson. I know what happened the end of last year, but that was whatever. He wasn't playing, whatever. He's getting in the rhythm, new team and everything. I think Deshaun Watson has a big bounce back year, you know, and I
Yeah.
feel that, you know, he's a big bounce back year. And when he's at his best, he's a top 5, you're right, top 4 QB in this league. Like he
No,
is.
not
When he's
anymore.
at his best.
Not anymore.
Not anymore because he's been out. But I'm saying
Yeah,
when he was at his best, he was a top 5 QB. He's got Amari
I mean,
Cooper, who's a pretty damn good receiver. Elijah Moore in the slot, who's been going off, who's a very talented player, very versatile player. I love Elijah Moore. I think
like
he's
it.
an awesome, you know, you're in a 12-man league, 14, whatever. I think he's an awesome flex. Awesome flex.
And I like how you brought up him as well. And I think there's one other guy in the Browns I just want to mention really quick. He wasn't really one of my top 5 guys, but Donovan Peoples-Jones is a guy that's going undrafted in some drafts, who's a guy that it could be that receiver too. between Elijah Moore and Amari Cooper. I think Amari Cooper is easily the number one. Everyone knows that. But Elijah Moore and Donovan Peoples-Jones are going to be battling for that 2 spot. I
Elijah
lean,
Moore.
but Donovan Peoples-Jones, and people discredit him, but he's only 24, and last year he had 800 yards. He was a good target for him. I mean, he had 50 catches, I believe, or 60 catches and 3 touchdowns with 800 yards. So if that continues, that's a guy that if he goes undrafted, either great off of waiver wire or possibly a really late round pick. But I just wanted to quickly mention that.
Yeah, he's got upside.
Anyways, next guy is the guy that I think could be the Tyreek Hill replacement. And a lot of people are going to be sleeping on him just because of his attitude, really, his behavior, which I completely get. Like, it's a guy that, and he's also, I think, out a few weeks, a few weeks, I believe. I think he got injured in training camp, but Kadarius Toney is a guy that I love, just purely because of what I witnessed him do to the Saints 2 seasons ago. He's playing the Saints, the Giants are in the Dome, and he made all of our defenders look silly. And you know,
that's easy to do against the Saints.
No, I don't know. We have a top 10 defense the last few years. Anyways, he looks pretty damn good. And in the Chiefs offense, he's a guy that is just a gadget kind of player. And you see it in the playoffs. You saw it in the playoffs. Like, he looked pretty solid in that offense. There were a couple more plays that could have been made by him, but I think Andy Reid's coaching him up. I think they're trying to scheme for him to be that Tyreek Hill replacement. And as a late round pick, because of his injury and his personality, really, I think that's a solid pick, late rounds.
Yeah, I love it. Talented player in the Andy Reid offense, and Pat Mahomes is your QB. Can't really go wrong.
Yeah, and like you just said, I mean, like, there's a lot of receivers over there that you could pick in the late rounds that, like, similar kind of thing. Like, who knows? Who knows who's going to be the number one receiver on the Kansas City Chiefs this year?
My last guy I got is Evan Engram for the Jaguars.
Interesting.
Tight end, another tight end. Yeah. So we all know his tight end. His skill. He's not a blocker, right? He's a receiving threat. He's like a Luke Musgrave, right? Travis Kelce. I understand that he's in this offense with the Jaguars where they have a lot of weapons. They got Christian Kirk. They got Calvin Ridley now. They got Zay Jones, I believe. So they get weapons. And like I just said with the Chargers, I don't really like getting guys that have a lot of weapons beside them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because, it's going to limit the receptions. But when you're looking at the tight end position, because it's so weak, you know what I mean? That, like, you kind of throw that out the window because, you know what I mean? Like, how many guys are really better than Evan Engram? You know what I mean? And he had some – I remember I picked him up late last year, and he had some, like, dominant games, like, out of nowhere. Like, I think he had, like, 2, like, 30-point games, like, towards the end of the season.
He had a few. He had a breakout year last year in a few games. Yeah.
Like, he did, right? So, he's got the QB. He's got the weapons, which could take pressure off of him, but it, could also mean less targets. But I think for tight ends, because there's such a big drop off, it's not even funny. You know what I mean? And tight end's just a weak position in general. That Evan Engram is a guy that you can draft that, like, falls kind of late. Like, I was doing some mock drafts, and, like, I'm getting Darren Waller and Evan Engram at my tight end position. Like, those are two amazing big upside guys that can win me a league. Like, no joke.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
100%.
Both those guys can be a top 5 tight end at the end of the year, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I think top 10.
I think top 5. Top 5.
I think Darren Waller top 5, but I don't know.
Kelce? Who? Kelce? What? Kittle?
Okay, so we got
Andrews.
Kelce.
I don't even, who's after
Andrews, that? Yeah, Kittle, and I think, like you just said, Waller. Then I think a guy that I like, Juwan Johnson, could be up there purely because the Saints are going to be targeting him a lot. No, and that's realistic. It is. He was
okay. He's up there, but Evan Engram was probably up there with him.
And here's the thing with Evan Engram.
Evan Ingram's got a way more big play ability.
I like the Evan Engram pick, but here's the thing: I think his consistency is way too risky.
But
I like him as a late round pick, but I don't know about top 5.
I get that. What do you mean late round pick? He could be top 5. That's his upside.
mid to late round pick, but I don't know if he's gonna get
his upside. Like, if he's a little more consistent, then he could be a top 5 tight end. No joke. But the thing you just said is, like, the consistency and everything. But, like, I think when you're picking a position that tight end that's so weak,
it's valuable.
Like you have to. Like
You're gonna find
even the
these
kid
stats.
on Philly, Dallas Goedert, right? Like he's like a
Yeah.
top tight end. Like he's probably like a top 8, top 6 tight end in the league. And for fantasy too, he is.
Yeah, last year he had an
But
off
I
year, though. I
picked
think it
him.
was due
But
to
I
injuries.
picked him. But I picked him last year, and the dude gets like 5 points a game. Tight ends are
Yeah,
so unpredictable and weak.
Evan,
But Evan Ingram has high upside. He just does.
yeah, last year Evan Ingram had 766 yards and 4 touchdowns, which is like
Yeah, but
the big
he
thing
had some
there was he had
monster.
73
He had some
catches. He had
monster
73
games.
catches. Big reception guy as a tight end, and that's what you want. Because there's a lot of guys like you said,
Exactly.
like we said, Mark Andrews is like a guy that can go off every other week or whatever. But then there's weeks where he has 0 because he's not he doesn't have a lot of huge like multiple reception games. A lot of it is just touchdowns in the red zone and everything like that from Lamar Jackson. But I definitely like the Evan Ingram pick.
Yeah, it's a good pick. I'm telling you, I think Evan Ingram, Darren Waller, Luke Musgrave are guys that can explode at the tight end position really this year and just win you leagues. Like that's why in one of my leagues I'm picking 6 overall. And when you look at 6, like a guy that comes up a lot around 6 is Travis Kelce. You know what I mean? But it's like, and I know he's amazing and everything, but I'm like, I don't know. Like I could pick a good running back or I could pick a receiver. You know what I mean? And then
I think
kind
you
of
gotta go.
rely on this high upside tight end. I don't know.
No, if it was like a dynasty league, like then yeah, or like a keepers league, I could see you not going Kelce there. But if Kelce falls to you at 6, I think you got to take Kelce. I think he's like a top 3 value.
But here's my also thing with Kelce though. He's getting older, and I'm like, I know
Yeah,
a
one of the
down year.
years he's gonna.
Hold on, I know a down year is coming, and I just don't want to pick him when a down year.
No, I
know,
get it. I get it. There's definitely like a risk,
You know
but
what I mean?
also
A
like
little bit there is.
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
but
I
hold
100%
on,
get it.
hold on. What if you got like Kelce and you got like I don't know, like Cooper Cup? Like who you going? Like I
Yeah, I'm
might
going
take
Kelce. I don't like Cooper Cup this year.
I like Cup because Stafford's back.
Yeah, no, he's
He's
back, but
healthy. They're both
I don't know. I
healthy.
don't trust.
The thing is,
Cup.
I might go Cooper Cup. Like, and people forget before Cooper Cup got injured last year, like
Yeah, no, he's the
up
dog.
until like he played like what 7 games or something. He was like
Yeah, he
second in
was
the league
balling
in
out.
receptions, and he was balling out. He's gonna do the same thing, I believe. And I'm like, I'm gonna take Cooper Cup, and then like, that's how much I believe in these tight ends. Like, I think you get Evan Ingram, Darren Waller. I think there's top
Yeah,
5 upside,
tight end, and
and
it's a
you can
later
get
round.
and you could get that in like the 10th round.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there are those
So-
tight end sleepers that you can get that you could put in at tight end that are going to get you solid points versus a risk like Kelce, like you said. Like,
I don't even want to say it's a risk,
no, but like
but
you
I'm
said,
just
like
saying like.
a down year could possibly happen, and that's why I'm saying like you
Yeah, but I'm
like
just saying when
possibly
you're
getting
picking
a guy
YM
like that.
and like maybe someone falls, like what if like Austin Eckler, and we know how much we value running backs, right? And I know
Yeah.
he catches a lot of balls a game. I'm probably gonna take him over Kelce.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like I get that,
Right.
like waiting for a tight end later when there's these guys that are falling. I like it. I mean, I get it. Anyways, get into the last guy. This is the guy that I mentioned all the time in my fantasy group chat. I drive him nuts. John knows where I'm going with it. You saw his face right there. Rashid Shaheed for the Saints.
Oh my god.
Yep, no, he saw it coming. Rashid Shaheed for the Saints is the most slept on receiver in the league, I think, in my opinion.
No, it's Romeo Dubs.
Purely because Ruby Dubs.
It is. Romeo's sick. He's got a good connection with Jordan.
Anyways, Rashid Shaheed, big playability. He's got that. Run after catch ability. He's got that. Plain possession catch guy. He's got
QB,
that.
he doesn't.
He does have that 100%. Derek Carr. Derek Carr's more proven than your guy over there that you're calling a star already. So
Jordan Love didn't get bench playing with like Devontae Adams like you did.
yeah, you shouldn't have. But Derek Carr's
But
balled
because
out
they were
before that in
losing.
the past. So I mean, Derek Carr was dealing with a crap coach, so I don't really blame
Yeah,
him.
and he had the number 1 running back in the league. Whatever.
Yeah, the running game was good.
And still lost.
They still
and
don't know.
And
Doesn't change the fact
Devontae
that he didn't
Adams,
know how to
best
call
receiver
plays.
in football.
Anyways, Rashid Shaheed as a number 3 receiver. There's a lot of quarterback, the third string quarterbacks aren't going to be able to guard him. They got Michael Thomas and Chris Olave up there. Put your hand down. What is
I have a
this?
question.
What is this? A classroom? What's going on?
We all know how many good receivers are in. Like we all know how many good receivers are in the league,
Yeah.
right? And what's he? He's number 3 on the Saints, right?
And yeah. And he
You
had 500
really
yards in
think?
like the
Hold
second half of
on.
the season.
You really think in a 12-man league he's worth a roster spot?
Yeah, 100%.
No, he's not.
100%.
Because
I'm telling you right now, he's gonna have a great season.
Think about every team's top 2 receivers are over him already.
Yeah.
He's not. No,
I don't.
there's no way.
I
There's
100%.
no way.
Because they're gonna be splitting. He's 100%. He's gonna have at least 6 touchdowns this year. At least. I think he's gonna have solid 50,
He's not worth a
60
roster
catches.
spot. He's not.
He's
Unless
gonna
you're
have
in like
60.
unless
Okay,
you're in like a 20-man.
I'll call it now.
If you're in a 20-man league, he could probably be a receiver too.
Even a 10-man.
He could probably be a receiver too.
10 to 12-man league, I'm picking him.
Probably be a flex.
Easily.
You're not picking him.
12-man league, 100%.
I'm not allowing you to pick him in our draft.
No, if he's available late rounds, we're picking him. I'm telling you right now, he's a league winner.
We're taking Romeo Doubs over him. We're taking Romeo Doubs over.
No way. No shot. In a late, okay, maybe if he's available, if they're back-to-back rounds, I could see it.
No, we're taking Romeo. He's the number 2 receiver. He's got better connection with Jordan Love.
Rashid Shaheed.
This is stupid.
It's not stupid. It's 100% true.
Let's go wrap it up.
I'm calling it now. I'm calling it now. 6 touchdowns, 60 plus catches, maybe
600 yards, 666.
Yeah, might as well. I'll say 650 yards.
Oh, stupid.
Calling it now.
So
I'm gonna clip this. I'm gonna save it for after the season, and I'll pull it up. And unless he gets injured, that's happening. If he gets injured, then obviously like things change.
He's not.
Yeah, if he doesn't get injured, it's gonna happen.
He's probably the 4th because you know one of your sleepers was also one of your tight ends. So
yeah, Quentin Johnston. Yeah, I think we're gonna have one of the most. I think we're gonna have a.
So you're telling me that you got you're telling me that your 2 sleepers are your tight end and your 3rd receiver.
Yeah.
So that means like what? Chris Olave and Michael Thomas are going to have amazing seasons all, and the Saints are going to go 16-0.
I think
no, I don't think that's what I'm hearing right now. I'm hearing this.
Top 8 offense. They're going to be a top 8 passing offense, 100%. I guarantee it right now. They're going to be a top 8 passing offense in the league.
I do top 8 interception offense in the league.
Derek Carr had like 12 picks last year, 13 picks, which is like in a usual season, there's multiple quarterbacks that have that, and it's not frowned upon. He had an off year, and he still had 20 touchdowns. Like
20.
Daniel Jones that here just got 45 mil for 13 touchdowns or something like that. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
He didn't turn the ball over.
Derek Carr's like 15th quarterback in the league. He's a top half quarterback. That's all you need. And I think this year he's going to be even better than that. So I digress. We're going to get into it. We're going to just go to the outro, but Rashid Shaheed definitely is worth the sleeper pick. And I think 100%, if people are listening to this, don't listen to him or listen to me. It's going to be a great pick for you in the fantasy league. All right, guys, getting right into the outro, doing a quick movie review. I'm going to review Oppenheimer really quick. I went and saw it with Emmy. Luckily, down here in Fort Lauderdale, there's a museum right down it's like a 10-minute walk from my house that they're doing the 70 millimeter, whatever it is, film of Oppenheimer, which is like there's like 20 theaters that are doing it or whatever, and it's premium format, whatever it is. It was amazing. I mean, I had to sit in the second row of the theater, and it sucked because we got there a little bit late. But anyways, it's one of the best movies of the year. I have it as number 3 right now. I've seen like 15 movies in the theater or something like that. In comparison to Barbie, which is the other movie, Barbie's in the bottom 5 of the movies right now this year. So Oppenheimer, gave it a 5 out of 5 stars like I did for Spider-Verse and Guardians of the Galaxy. There's only other 2 movies with that right now. So it's up there with those. Completely different kind of movie. It's very serious movie, very like cinema movie. If Martin Scorsese meme could be about a movie, it would be that. So I think it's a great movie, worth the watch. Hammer, you'd love it because it's very like, I mean, it's a very interesting movie. I think you'd like it. It's 3 hours long, so your attention span might be a little bit drained after it, but it's worth the view. 100%.
Wow. Real shut up. Me right there. Okay. That good? You done with the movie review?
Yeah, it was a quick movie review. You know,
okay.
Oppenheimer is good.
Now something really to watch for the football fans. Well, no, I want to watch Oppenheimer, but Untold, Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football just came out on Netflix. I watched it. Highly recommend it. Really interesting.
What do you think? What do you think about it?
It was
do you think like, you know what I think is crazy is that like he hasn't changed. He's the same person.
No, he
still.
hasn't. He hasn't.
He doesn't care.
Which is wild. Yeah.
Like the amount of time, I think it's hilarious that he went to rehab, didn't change. Then he went to Vegas the night before a game. Like, what the hell is this guy doing? You know, like
Never looked at a playbook.
yeah, 0 minutes of film. That's wild. That's absolutely wild.
Crazy. Like, because I'm watching this and, everything's going out, like, like college, like scandals and everything. And I'm like, who would take the chance to draft this guy in the first round? And then it's
Yeah,
like,
I didn't realize there was all that in the background.
but then
Yeah.
I know. And I'm like, who would really take this guy in the first round? And then you really
No,
think, like,
yeah.
it would be Cleveland. Like,
Yeah,
it
of
would
course.
be. They just
Has to
screw
be. And
everything
they
up.
traded up for it too. They traded
So
up for it.
stupid. Yeah, 26 to 22.
So dumb. So many teams passed on him for a reason. Like you think,
Yeah.
like, oh, they get the hint. But like
Yeah.
the fact that he basically he even had like coach or his agent or whatever have to run routes from a pro day.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Like there's so many red
Because he
flags.
took his
with that. It's
receivers out.
ridiculous.
Yeah, the night before. Yeah, it's wild. But highly recommend it. Very good. I also watched the Jake Paul Untold. That was interesting too.
I haven't seen that yet. What
Yeah,
did you watch? Hard
it's good.
Knocks?
No, not yet.
Hard Knocks.
No,
Episode 1 was pretty good.
I have to watch it.
It's solid. I mean, people have been hating on Hard Knocks, but I think like the last 2 seasons, like the one with the Lions last year was pretty good. This one was also starting off pretty good. So could be a solid season. Who knows?
Yeah, I gotta see it. I gotta see my boy A-Rod. Yeah, but that's gonna do it for us. Hope that you guys enjoyed the preseason games this weekend, and just remember and just know that we're getting closer to football season. Less than a month away right now, right?
yeah.
When is this?
Yeah, less than a
when
month.
do we kick
It's
off?
officially less than
The
a month.
10th
I think it's the
or the
7th.
9th?
7th
Oh,
is
yeah,
like the
the
first
Sunday.
Thursday game.
Yeah.
Or
And it's
7th or 8th. Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys are watching this on the 14th? So yeah. So
It's exciting.
yeah, we're getting there. So just keep it up. Keep with us. We're gonna keep on talking some fantasy. And then as we get really close, we're gonna start making our predictions for the year. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And yeah, that's gonna do it. So with that being said, make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Jenks Hammer Pod. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube at Jenks Hammer Podcast. If you watch on YouTube, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you very much, and have a great week.
Remember to comment for the fantasy league if you want to join.
Oh yeah, if you want to be in the fantasy league, make sure you're subscribed and you comment below this video, and we will add you. Winner gets a jersey or a helmet or something cool from me and Jenks out of our pockets to you. We'll send it to you wherever you live, but you gotta try to beat us. Well, you gotta try to beat me. You probably beat Jenks, but that's gonna do it. That's gonna do it. We'll see you guys next week. All right.
Thank you for tuning in to the Jenks and the Hammer podcast. Remember to leave a review and follow all of our social media pages at Jenks Hammer Pod for more content. Until next time, who dat and go Pack Go!